Oh, I've just started recording and I can chop and mess stuff around as well. So yeah,
It's okay.
we're good. We got plenty here. So hi dads, hi folks listening in here. We are just blessed actually to have Jennifer with us today from m- sorry, I'm going to start that again. Oh, hold on.
From Mamafurfur.
From Mamafurfur, Jennifer Kempson. I got stuck Kempson and Furfur. Right, I'm
That's
gonna.
okay. Do it again. Do it again. Second
Yeah.
take. I'll be the
Yeah.
charm.
Yes, great, perfect. Hi, dads. Hi, people listening. We are genuinely delighted to have Jennifer Kempson here from Mamafurfur. But this is a real treat, we've got a Scottish award-winning content creator, best-selling author, and entrepreneur. She's the author of the Master Money Blueprint, and she's got a website and resources jam-packed full of information for people who want to do way better with their money, or just make a sense of that what can be a hugely overwhelming and challenging topic, as it has been for me. She's very passionate about people who want to go from financial stress to money success. I really, really love that. She does that through videos, blogs, online courses, and her hugely abundant energy and passion, which is what I've just, in the short time I've known her, I'm really starting to get a sense of that today. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hi there. Hi there. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk for lots and lots of key things today. I'm really excited.
Yeah, brilliant. And just at the top of the cast here, like Jennifer's website, can you just plug your website domain for us, Jennifer?
Yeah, sure. It's mamafurfur.com. So MAMA, Furfur is FUR. And you can also find me on YouTube mainly. So if you look for Mamafurfur, you'll find me on YouTube pop up.
Great, perfect. I'm sure there's a multitude of topics we could talk about with Jennifer here. We'll have to get her back. We're going to focus on money today,
Yes.
in this season of this podcast. And so let's just, can you just give us a little bit of background, a whistle-stop tour of your life up to this point, please, Jennifer? If that's
Oh wow, there's a
possible.
lot to fit in.
Sure.
I'll do like a time lapse, the
Yes.
highlights. Okay.
Please.
So I'm born and raised in Glasgow, Scotland, as you can tell by the accent. I've got two small boys, a husband, two cats, and really my entrance into talking about money in particular, I talk about investing, personal finance, and success entrepreneurship. So really starting businesses, side hustles. That started 3 years ago officially when I launched a YouTube channel. But my own journey with money, I came from a middle class family up here in Glasgow, and my parents never had debt, never had credit cards outside of the mortgage. And so I grew up managing money. It wasn't a thing, it's not something that was scary, or it was nothing. It was just a neutral emotion. When I met my husband, he had consumer debt. And so when both of us got married, I was on my second maternity leave, and I decided that we were stuck in working full time, and the pressure and the sense of dread about no life choices. It was it was actually £24,000 worth of consumer debt. So it was a good chunk of money.
Sure.
And it just felt like we were working to pay off debt the whole time. Sure. And being the engineer that I am, I've got a degree in engineering, I problem solved. So you give me a problem and we're going to get out of it. That's what we do. And so I started to read every single financial book that I could. I was learning about investing. I was learning about paying off debt, and all of these terms like passive income and active incomes and, snowflakes and snowballs and all that kind of stuff. And it led me down a rabbit hole. But all I kept seeing was mainly US based people talking. So everyone like Dave Ramsey, Tony Robbins, all great people, but very US.
Yep.
And I went on YouTube and blogs, and there was nobody in the UK talking that I could find or relate. And so I didn't cross my mind being Scottish or a female or anything. I just wanted to be somebody talking about it. So I picked up a camera, and now 3 years down the line, I seem to be here. I seem to be okay. So that's my journey. It's very organic, very just seeing a need and feeling, why not? Why can't it be me?
When I was just going a bit mad with corporate life before I got sacked, I was an engineer as well. I didn't mention that as you and I.
Okay, yeah, what kind of engineer?
Landing gear systems engineer.
Wow.
Yeah, I really wasn't a wow part of that environment. I promise you, very underwhelming actually. when I started reading books and wanted to break out of that corporate environment, and I managed to fall into property investment and how that's done, how to leverage debt, etc., etc. And I got myself in a huge pickle with that. And and I'm still grateful for it, because that was the education I needed at the time. But what I love about your approach is, with the income you have, you don't need to already be rich to be able to be more successful. You look at it from, how do you do really, really well with what you've already got, and how do you have a different, you've just said you're an excellent problem solver, how do you have a different perspective on that to maximize your resources and give yourself what you really need from life?
Absolutely. It's all about asking better questions. So I'm a huge fan of like Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn and all these motivational teachers. And they say the quality of your life is the quality of your questions, because your brain will go away and try and problem solve for you. That's its job. It's like a little monkey that will go. So ask a question that is lined up with actually how you truly want to, feel or create. So not about, oh, why am I in so much debt? Well, the answer, your brain will say is, well, because you're crap, or you're rubbish, or you're not good with money. But actually, what the better question is, okay, I want to feel like I've got more than enough money, that everything is working in my favor. And your brain will go, okay, I'll go and show you examples of making that happen. And you see, it's a structure of thinking about what's the better way of asking myself or reframing it. And as you touched upon, with property investing, the whole thing about investing, really, and why I love it, but also make sure I manage it correctly, is we want to create passive incomes. We want the thought of money just appears in our life and we don't need to work for somebody else to get it. Yeah. The secret actually is, that's how it is anyway. Money just exists. It's actually just a way of two human interactions happening, that we equate money, the service you give, I exchange for money. So if we focused on the talents and the skills that we've been naturally given, you would actually find money would keep appearing regardless. It'd be just the right amount of money. It'd be exactly what you needed. Money is unlimited. Like, they print money, they literally just print as much as they want. So I think it's about the reframing, and very important, the questions that we ask ourselves to find those solutions that we want.
So, and you yourself then, Jennifer, it's based on your intro there as well. Have you never had any stigma or personal relationship challenges with money? How would you describe that part of you?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I've had to, and I'm not perfect, so everyone has to work through this. I still have to work through feelings of lack, because the default mindset is lack. So, for example, I've shared with you that I left my day job like a couple of weeks ago. So my husband has left the corporate world 2 years ago. So we went down to one official wage, one 9-to-5 wage. And we made the decision as a family that because of my entrepreneurship, my side hustle, effectively making good money consistently, we were ready to let go of that safety net. And it really was a safety net. It ended up being like we're making multipliers of my day job. It's not just barely getting by, it's over and above. And I think that's what sometimes the stigma is, we can associate. I never saw debt as being a bad thing. And that's what I teach. I think hopefully you get the sense of that from some of my writings. I don't follow the process where some money gurus will say that you're bad, you've made stupid decisions, you must get rid of it. No, I see it as you just made a choice. You just made a choice based on the information you had at the time. It doesn't make you a bad person. But what we're going to do is we're going to change our habits moving forward to how we want to feel. So I think stigmas we need to be careful. Does it actually uplift you, or does it take away your power? And I think if stigmas are good when they make you feel like you can, be lifted up, you're going to aim for a higher goal. But if you allow yourself to have a stigma where you use it as an excuse or a barrier, or this is all I'm meant to be, that's not the truth. That's not the truth. It's usually somebody else's truth or somebody else's believing. I'd really resonate with, you get to call what's your truth and what you're going to live by.
Yes, thank you for that. I'm really unpacking this money topic for myself still. Hopefully unpacking it for the listeners as well, because ultimately, you mentioned the word default there. The propensity is to have a default reaction to your conditioned experiences, what you saw in the home, what you learned from the home, how your parents dealt with money. You tend to do exactly what they did, or the complete opposite.
Complete opposite, yeah.
And
The
that
rebel.
that doesn't actually mean that any of those two outcomes are any good either.
Exactly.
It's just either what they did or the complete opposite.
Exactly.
So I really I've lived in a life where you're just moving from mortgage product to mortgage product, and that 25 to 30 year mortgage just keeps going further and further down the line, almost living in a way that says, I will have a mortgage forever, I will have debt forever. And I've personally felt the really painful consequences of making a huge mistake. And it was more of irresponsibility actually than a problem of debt. And as a result of my irresponsibility, I then landed up with a lot of debt. So I just want to tack into that for a moment, if you don't mind. I'd just love to get your take on it. I absolutely don't think that debt is a conspiracy theory. But basically, we have an opportunity to take debt, to use debt, and businesses profit from lending money, like any other business profits from. Yeah, it's just a business. Do you look at it in any way that it's in any way helpful for the government or to actually keep us in debt? Is there any benefit over and above the profit for financial institutions to have us in debt and keep us in debt because they continue making money? I'd just love to get your take on that, Jennifer.
So the question, unpacking it, do I think the governments and other companies want to keep us in debt?
If it was a correct question, yes. Let's start there. Yes.
Do I think they want to? I think that their business, as in terms of a business running, they have to be profitable, right? That's the only way any business stays organic and grows, and they can, right? Because otherwise your business isn't there. It just decreases. So for them, and they need people in general to want their product. And so actually, I think it's not so much as making sure the life cycle is as long as possible. I think it's just their model is they're looking for people who require that form of capital in order to do things. I think like the whole issue of mortgages, and so credit cards were not around in my grandparents' days, and not as far as I'm aware. I think that was like a 1970s. Was it not in the 80s? The Diners Card or Diners Club, the first one. Yeah, right. And it was all about, almost like a good thing. Like you can go and support these local businesses. MasterCard, I think in the 80s when I was born, that's all I can remember.
Yes.
And I genuinely believe a lot of good intentions start an idea. I don't think an organization that lasts long is genuinely out to trick people or fool people. I think that's then spinning it as I'm
a victim.
Taking away responsibility as well, right? That then makes it not me responsible, but somebody else is responsible for my situation. And so I would say, I wouldn't say the government or mortgage people, I don't decisively think their strategy is to keep you locked in. What I do think is they're running a business. And so there's naturally going to be charges or products or profit. That doesn't mean you need to go by what society says. If just because it's the norm to get a mortgage, we don't need to do that. If that doesn't feel right for you, like an example is my husband, his car, we went and just got whatever cash we had, we just got a car. And, it was a 17-year-old Honda Civic that's outside, right? That was what the cash we had, and it fitted the purpose. Well, now we've been able to save up a little bit more cash, but that's our limit. Because we've had PCP deals before. I've paid, extortionate rates. And I know I can use that wealth that comes to us for better things than to make, to put it into that company. Nothing against a PCP company or a leasing company, but I know I can make better use of it in my life and other people's life. So I think that's the switch. And what I would say is, don't do something just because everybody else does it, but equally, it's not bad to use certain capital vehicles, but as long as you ensure that you know that you're responsible for whatever outcome. Because I know, like in your circumstance with the housing market, you know, we can make choices, we can make fear of missing out choices and a wee bit, you know, oh, I'll be fine. But actually, I guarantee that if you hadn't have had that experience, I actually think your story, sharing it with people, will have an even bigger ripple effect. There's always a good thing that will come out of every single sucky thing. And so actually, I think that lesson was in preparation for you having a microphone today, perhaps, that you can then help one other person or 5 other people or 10. So yeah, a long answer for
That's
as
great.
simple as I could.
Yeah, really good. Like, you've just introduced something that we throw around here a lot. I mean, ultimately, you're the author of your reality, and often stuff can completely go against you, and life can really happen to you. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that's out of your control. But it's what are you going to choose to take responsibility for? Ultimately, mortgages and lending, and the banking system are just a business that are making profit from lending money, just like any other business. You're choosing to take a mortgage. It's a conscious choice you've made to use that debt, and then to get upset about the amount of interest you're paying is just a perspective. For me,
absolutely.
I was watching your video of paying your mortgage off earlier on, which was brilliant. Just that 10% extra can reduce your mortgage lifespan by like 3 years, right? And the information that you put in that video was like Ben, have you ever sat down and calculated the number, which isn't difficult math, of adding an extra 10% to what you pay off, and the impact of that? And the truth was, try not to blush here, no, I haven't, right?
No, because people don't.
People don't. And but the information, it's not like the information's being hidden from me, right? The information's there. All. And I said to Kerry, we've been really chewing over this for some time. We said, well, why is nobody talking about this? Why is nobody? But the truth is, it really depends on who you speak to, right? If you
you're in the wrong circle, then
if you're in a circle of people that are using debt and want to use lots of mortgage products, etc., paying off your mortgage won't be a topic that's banded around a lot.
Absolutely.
But I've just crossed paths with you, and I've been listening to a whole bunch of stuff from Dave Ramsey as well, and it's just it's whetting my appetite for doing things differently. So the power of the questions I've been asking have improved no end. But I really don't want to be talking about me here. I want to get everything I can from you. So let's touch on money habits, Jennifer. You can you share with us what are the primarily the most destructive habits people have around money, and how that can be improved?
Wow. Destructive habits are really anything that disempowers you in any way. So I think, I'll flip that around. Rather than focus on destructive, let's speak about the ones that I think they're most constructive, because obviously the opposite would be true. So I call it my 4 pillars of money. So it's 4 habits that I believe give a holistic view of money that will really change your mindset and your habits moving forward. We have spending well, spending with intention, saving well and with intention, investing, and obviously there's many ways to invest, not just in the stock market or pensions. I'm talking about business ideas, investing in your health, investing in your family, investing. And then the 4th one is giving. And this is one that I'm not seeing a lot of people talk about at all. So that's why I call it the 4 pillars. And I believe it's kind of like a house. You know, you've got your 4 pillars, and then everything else on top, the roof or whatever you build, is just going to be solid. And so the flip of that would be destructive habits, anything that takes away from the conscious effort of those 4 habits. So that would be anything that makes you spend, save, invest, or give recklessly, or out of fear of missing out. I'm just thinking habits such as maybe, you know, if somebody says, oh, Bitcoin's going to 10 times, unless you get in today, that would seem like quite a reckless habit and a fear of missing out. So it might not work in your favor. I don't think there's any habits that are necessarily automatically lead to a downfall. What I believe is, though, it's all about how your attitude and your feelings around money, how they're influenced as you do the things. So if it is that you invest because you believe long-term it's going to build wealth, but that's good. But if the fear is that if you don't invest, that's your only chance in life of making it or being wealthy or doing any good, then that's bad. Do you see how it's very determinant actually what you believe the result will be and the feelings behind it in your life?
Yes, I really do. I love those. I love those four pillars: the spending well, saving well, investing well, and giving well. Yeah. So,
Yes.
wouldn't it be nice to start those four pillars with the giving well at the top? And that's what you're
I do
implying here,
actually. That's what
right?
I do actually. Yeah,
Is
I say
having
that that's
that
actually the first one. Yeah.
having that faith to say, well, it's not. It's about what you consciously choose to do with your money, and having the faith that once you've given, you're going to continue to be provided for. And someone asked me the question once: have you ever missed a meal, Ben? Typically, I was much a bit more of a hedonist and wanted to just run towards pleasure and things that made me feel good with my money. But as I was mopping up the mess of all those terrible choices, someone asked, have you ever missed a meal? And the truth of that was, yeah, I've always had enough money to put a roof over my head, to put food on the table, to put clothes on our back, and I've always had a car that kind of works. So in the main, compared to a
Yeah.
huge proportion of the global population, I'm a really
Oh,
rich man
yeah.
if I'm just
You're
there,
in
right?
your 0.001. Like,
I'm
honestly, we
on it.
need,
I'm
yeah,
there,
you've
right? I've
made
already
it.
made it.
Exactly. And there's an old wisdom quote, which is, and you might recognize it, that, if the birds are in the trees and they're okay and they're looked after, then how much more are we looked after? You know what I
Yes,
mean? When you're
yeah,
talking about the clothes
absolutely.
on your back and everything. I think for me, giving comes from so in particular, I love the habit of giving. So I believe all four habits, it doesn't matter if you're in debt, doesn't matter if you want to start investing. I believe all four are like muscles. So, like when you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to improve your health, if you eat rubbish, but go to the gym, you're going to do some good, but you won't do as good as if you eat well, you work out, you look after you, right? It's the kind of like, let's attack it from all avenues. Giving is such a mindset changer with money. And I'm being honest, it's the one that triggers people the most. So I talk about giving. I actually share, that our family, our business gives as well. So we will support causes and charities or churches or whatever we feel led to at that time. And we do it as, it's not just a certain percentage, it's whatever feels right in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen, so my background was I was part of churches pretty much growing up. I don't go to a set church right now, but if one church in particular, it was mandatory to give. And I didn't really understand why. I kind of resented it. And now actually, my feeling is that it's allowed me to see that there's no scarcity with money. As you say, there's always meals on the table. There's always clothes on our back. There's always, somebody watching my YouTube videos. There's always these kind of things. So to realize the ripple effect of our money, it's not just me giving up my time, my money, all my resources can do so much more good that I will never know about. Like if what a charity that's close to our heart is actually for homeless people and helping them. This, what we've been able to do just in the past month is take somebody off the street for a year with,
Wow.
that is where you change a life. And I'm not saying that to say, look at us. I'm saying to you, like, that means my family is good. And then I then get the motivation to say, I wonder how many people we can help, right? Okay. Let me get the talents that I've got. Let's go out there and change some lives. So giving is the one in my comments on YouTube. I'll get the most people, say whatever they like about me or say no, or, that I'm whatever, but I stand my ground. It's the one thing that I believe has really changed our mindset with money completely. So I don't know if you've got any experience of that in your own life as well.
Well, when we were hugely in debt, we were attending not even a formal church at that time, but we had a really developing faith, and we had a lot of money to give back. And I started giving at 2% because that's all I could afford. And
that's okay. It doesn't matter.
I'd heard stuff banded around of up to 10% or whatever you like. So we literally had to build it at 1% at a time, Kerry and I. And we're looking at the debt sheet and we're going like, how can we afford to give at the same time of paying back this debt? Surely it's more important to pay the debt. But you just wouldn't believe the impact of, sure, I could have put that extra 10% when we eventually got to 10 towards the debt, but there's something that changed, and it wasn't always just to church as an organization. We just eventually we decided to give, just like you say, to organizations and to people who we felt really needed it at the time. Shelter Box were one of my favorite charities. And just the impact of that, and the impact of on your heart and on your mindset of there's enough, and I feel so generous and kind, almost in danger of saying the wrong thing here, but putting your exact numbers to one side and having faith that, like you said right at the top there, money can come from anywhere. Like, get out of that mindset of I've done this and it has to come from this person. I'm going to give in this direction, and I'm going to trust, which is a scary word for some, but I think it's a delightful word for me. I'm going to trust that I'm going to completely get what I need and more to replenish that, and to allow the flow of money through me. Right.
Exactly. It's almost like that circulation of money, I call it, right? You're sending it out and bringing it in, because the whole point is not for you to hoard anything. Because think about breathing. Like, if you took a good breath and held it in and never let it out, well, you wouldn't be here for very long. So the whole point is to, take in what you need and then pass out. And yeah, for us, I certainly think like percentage based is a great way to go. Again, I like the wisdom that says, it talks about almost like prove this theory wrong. I love that. I love the fact that wisdom says, if you give to others, then I guarantee you're going to see the results. It's the only place in the Bible that actually says that. It says, prove me wrong on this. So I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's give it a go. So it's incredible, isn't it?
Literally, just before Christmas, we had to get we got a new tire on the car, and within 6 hours that same tire was flat again. So I took it back to the garage. It was their mistake. They changed the valve on it, and it was their mistake, but I still tipped them, right? I think it was only like £5. I almost had to force it into this guy's hand, but I thought it might be a new tire. I might have punched it already. So £5. He's like, I don't want it. It's our mistake. And I've said, it doesn't matter. It's £5. It's not even going to buy you a pint, but please just take the money. That within 24 hours, I was out buying some logs, and they gave me a free sack of logs worth £5. And I'm like, I mean, these are kind people anyway, but I'm like, look at the flow of that. There was another event a couple of days later. I know there were two in the same week, but it pays testament to I've given something there, and I just don't know if I would have got given that free thing the next day had I not. Who knows? But the point, I actually cried that this person I was trying to give money to, he felt so uncomfortable. When he went, it's just, I love that we've landed on this topic, Jennifer. And I'm gonna come, and I love that it's been almost right in the middle of the call as well here. I want to come back to some of the fundamentals that would be wise to get right in managing. And I've got a question in here from Kerry for you as well.
Okay, cool.
So in terms of budgeting and like the stuff that the unsexy stuff, can you just tell us a bit about what's important to budget and manage money well on a day-to-day black and white kind of basis?
Okay, so fundamentally, when you're talking about your income and what you need to do with it, it's your essentials first and foremost. Okay, the whole point is you being able to keep yourself safe, well looked after. I'm not talking about opulence. I'm talking about, right, let's go to the nitty gritty. So I call that my essentials. So like, think of one column as being your essentials. Yep. Outside of that, then the luxuries on top, and I do say luxuries, would also be in the option to feel that you could give away some to, again, help somebody else who doesn't have their essentials met. Because remember, I do think that it changes hearts and communities when we look that way. I feel especially important to help those who are really struggling or, stuck in circumstances like that. So we've looked after ourselves, we're all good. And then it's also helping others is the next part for me. Then I move on to goals. So you mentioned Dave Ramsey. I like his structure too much because I think it's very prescriptive, and unless you do it his exact way, you're not, ticking a box. I actually say the next step after your essentials and your giving would be, what are your goals with your money? Because it's a resource. So what actually do you want to create in your life with money to allow you to do that? Because money, there's a quote that says money's not, the most important thing in life, but it is second to breathing. You need money. You do need money, right, to do stuff. I'm not a farmer. I'm not a baker. I can only show up and do what I can do, right? So I can't exchange like 4 loaves in order to get what I need or anything. So like those goals would be, right, do you want to pay off debt? Do you want to pay off your mortgage? Do you want to go on holiday? What kind of, do you want to pay for an extension? I'm trying to think of new car, any goal at all, any goal. And also along with those, also things for your development. So that could be maybe hobbies, courses, training, investing in yourself, all of that's next. Then as well as that, you want to think about additional income. So that's really the cherry on top. So the way that money works is I can invest in me, but I can also invest in other people. Like that's what giving is. I'm basically investing in somebody else temporarily so that they can then be a ripple effect and help other people in that. But we can also give our money to other companies, and we can set up businesses and our pensions, and it's actually making incomes in the future. So there's kind of like this multi-layered cake, and I don't believe anyone should tell you what order. I can only say, look, get your essentials right. I want you to then think about giving. I want you to then think about goals. But I actually truly believe we need to take away this thing that says personal finance is about a set way. It's called personal for a reason. And that means you get inspiration for your money. I get inspiration for my money. I should not be telling you that you have to pay off your car, then you have to do this. Well, in your season, that might not be what's right. It might actually be right now you need to focus on paying off the mortgage, plus also investing a little bit because that's the right thing for you. Or actually, you've got this really great idea that you want to start. That's what you want to focus on. So yeah, that would be my kind of structure roughly.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And what's come up for me is I was raised in a way and definitely lived in a way where I wanted to go straight from this, this guy in the gutter to having all these fancy things to make a statement about how valuable I was as a person.
Absolutely.
Right. And almost skipping that topic of money and just making it as valuable and important a topic as speaking with your mates and what's your favorite beer and packet of crisps. How's your budget going this week, or what are you prioritizing? How much have you given recently? Who have you given to recently? Not as a boasting, but and that's what I'm just so fond of this episode with you here, bringing out giving, bringing out money into the open. And just when you start shining light on something, fear of a topic seems to find it difficult to exist.
Exactly.
Talking of fear / conflict that can come up in couples, here's a Kerry question.
Good. Okay.
You and your husband are being really successful in your own right. You've earned good money from the corporate side. You're doing your own entrepreneurship kind of thing now. He's halved his salary. What does money management between you guys look like? How are you guys making decisions about money, which you just kind of alluded to there, in budget? And hopefully I can repeat these questions if I'm asking you too much. And if there's conflict or disagreement about money, how is that managed in your home?
Oh, that's good. Okay. So in terms of money management, like literally at lunchtime there, as I came on before this podcast, we're looking for a new car. So, we've got about our money saved up. We've got a budget. That's the amount that we have. And so it's for my husband, it's his car. He's much more interested in cars and what they do. And so he's away off researching, and, I just show up and say, well, that's the budget. and that's all it is. And I think that's how it works. It's never been a case of Matt's money, that's my husband, his money and my money. It's always been combined. And so I think when we were paying off the debt, it was kind of like I took the reins a little bit because it worked out in terms of our characteristics. I'm very, I like to problem solve. I like a spreadsheet. I like to, ensure that. And Matt kind of thought, well, actually my habits haven't given me the best. So I'm going to pass it over and then we'll just organically work through it. And so I think like any decision now, I'm kind of a bit more logical with money, but equally, there's a lot of freedom with our money because of the steps that we've taken before. So our household now, we've just got our mortgage. it's probably going to be paid off this year. That's our goal. That's one of our couple goals, to be mortgage free. We don't have any credit card debt. We don't have any car loans, nothing like that. Every yearly bill that comes in is paid off in full. So our outgoings are very small the rest of the year. And yeah, it's just organic. We just talk about stuff, and that's the way I sit down and do a budget. But at the end of the day, if he's spending too much or I'm spending too much, we'll just tell each other. We can see everything. You know, we've got the same joint accounts, we've got the same joint credit cards. For me, it works in my relationship. So, but for some people, it might be different. But yeah, that's what works for us.
Dads, guys, men, and I'm sure it's the same for women as well, but as I'm a guy, I know it was for me, that you are worth what you earn. You know, a measure of who you are is what kind of job you've got, how much income you're making, what kind of car you're driving. I mean, that's what I've loved about Dave Ramsey. He says, what is it? He says the home mortgage is taking the pride of place over the BMW, or something like that. And that I love that the twist of that for me. When we were paying back the debt, you women have just got a way with money that guys just don't. I just don't see women using money to inflate their value in the same way men do. So when we were paying back the debt, Kerry's just got this, she is a qualified bookkeeper, sort of semi-accountant, if you like. So she's just got this backbone of like, we've got this much in the bank, that's all just got to go here, bang, now we just got to change it. And I'm like, but that leaves nothing in the bank for mistakes. And she's like, don't care, there'll be more that comes, that's got to go there. And she'll just and I'm like, you know, and then I've got to go and get a flannel and mop my brow. But that's what I'm hearing from you, Jennifer, when it comes to the actual the nuts and bolts of this has to go here and has to go here, and just is very logical for you. It's an effective way to manage money once agreements have been made.
Then that's the key, isn't it? It's agreements. And also, I don't think it's a male female thing. I actually think it's just organically yin and yang. You'll meet if your partner you tend to go for somebody who balances you most of the time. So let's say if I'm kind of and Matt's a bit more quiet, I think in each area, if you allow each person to be themselves, regardless of male or female, you'll each balance each other out. I think what happens if you're both impulsive or you're both stingy in different areas, that's where the imbalances can appear. You always figure it out. As long, a great thing, so I get a lot of people email me or DM me. I don't like to see where money is the reason for relationships breaking down or families breaking down. I think that's I don't want to use stupid, but it's so not worth it. It's elite. It's like saying because somebody's weight isn't a certain number that's it, you can't be with them, right? What the cause behind it is actually, what you want to feel about your money or feel about your life. So it's not because somebody has a certain amount in the bank or has a certain number on the scale or does a certain thing. It's actually the way we interpret how it feels and how it reflects on us. And so if for any reason money is the main topic in your house or causing arguments, the best thing you can do is sit down together and say, okay, let's work out what are the feelings that we're really feeling here. Money's something that we've associated with it, but what's actually going on? And a lot of the times, the money can be taken care of. Like there's debt charities, there's also free debt charities, Christians Against Poverty. There's all these kind of charities that will absolutely help you. So money's never the issue. But when you start to repair the underneath things, that is much better than any money band-aid could ever give you.
We get people walking here and they both carry this notion in of they carry a whole bunch of topics in, but this is about money, Ben, right? She blah blah blah, but he blah blah blah, and I'm like this has nothing to do with money. Zero. It's got zero to do with money. It's about fear, it's about pain, it's about lies, it's about how you feel about who you are. So we're just going to put money to what it's not money's fault, right? It's absolutely not money. Money's just sat there, and we like you say, we attach whatever we want to it.
There's a great story actually about that. I don't know if you've ever heard this analogy where like a knife can be used for many different things. So think about a knife like money. So a knife can be used to operate on someone, save someone's life. A knife can be used to make a dinner. A knife can be made to take someone's life. Okay. It's not the knife's fault that it was used in those different ways. You don't send the knife to jail. It's the person that you say, it's the chef or or any other choice with it. It's the person using it. So that's the thing, like, see money as it's this thing that you're using to create the situations.
Are you using your money to cut your partner to pieces, or are you using it to make him a cake? Right. That's
exactly,
the way. I love that analogy.
Exactly.
I always go back through the interviews and work out what is going to be the title. So money and knives. I think that's the title, right?
Oh no.
So we're just wrapping up here, Janet. This has been absolutely brilliant. It's so full of positivity and zest and life and good energy. I'm really hoping that the listener is opening up to that, right? Because if you want stuff to change, fundamentally you have to change. And if you've got a problem with something like money, we're going to take the emphasis off of it's money's fault, is the way you're choosing to handle it, is the way you're choosing to take responsibility for it or not, and how you are or not talking to your partner about it. And last point, essentially there'll just be a better budget keeper out of the two of you, and it doesn't really matter who that is. It matters that you guys discuss in enough detail what you are both comfortable to do around money. And I tell couples, just keep that page has to be allowed to be open at all times, just like a number of other subjects. But so if we could just sort of tail this off with, what are your top 2 or 3 things? I know you don't know the exact demographic of the listener right now, multitude of different start points. What are your top 2 or 3 things that you would give to someone about money? It's hard because you don't even know who they are exactly. Top 2 tips, money, please, right now in the current
top
climate.
2.
Yeah, top 2.
Okay, top 2 would be look into the 4 pillars of money that I spoke about. I think the moment that you really start reading good books, looking at good websites, looking at videos, whatever you can, look at information that feels right to you about those 4 pillars. That's going to change your life more than I can give in a podcast episode. The second thing is, actually, I'd like to just call out the thing about that we talked about money just being an object. Money is just a resource. And also that means that you can make as much resource as you like. It's actually the management of it that will then... My greatest gift has been realizing that money is for lifestyle design. It's okay to turn down money if the quality of your life is better. So it's okay to take a chance on faith and what you think's right. You're not going to muck it up. There's no wrong choices here. There's only things to learn from. So with money, design life that you want, and the money will come to support it.
Brilliant. And this is might be a tough question. And for someone who's listening, who's just like, faith, what the hell is that? I haven't got any. How would you respond to, so what do I use in place of faith?
Oh, so faith, I just mean goodness, like believing that good things will happen as a result of your choices.
Choosing to believe that good stuff will come, even if it hasn't yet. Like Tony says, the past does not have to equal the future.
No.
So essentially, I think I said it right. We the choices we're making now, we're completely the author of our reality. So if you've been authoring a poor reality, there's only one person on the planet who's going to be able to turn that around. And so you just haven't yet made the right decisions. But if you're listening to stuff like this, if you go to your website, you're going to start to digest resources that are really going to help you do better. It's okay. It's okay to do better.
Because the crux of it is you have got faith if you've got fear. So fear is actually faith in bad things happening. I don't know if you've ever read the Napoleon Hill book. There's a Napoleon Hill book that's I think it's called Outwitting the Devil. It's a really obscure title, but actually the crux of it is we have faith. It's actually, is it faith in good things happening, or is it faith in bad things happening? Because faith in bad things is called fear. That's what we call it. So you're acting in faith, you're acting in a belief system. It's kind of like, which one do you want to pick? And I'd rather go with good things happening.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's in one of Napoleon. It's not in Think and Grow Rich. I think that's in one of his additional. I completely forgot that quote. Jennifer, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for your time today. Can you just one more time let us know where you would like us to go to find out what resources we can connect with? What would you ask for if we just put that in there?
So you can find me on YouTube mainly if you look for Mamafurfur, and mamafurfur.com. I'm also on Instagram as well, so you can come and chat to me there.
Mamafurfur. For Bristolians listening, is fur, okay? and how Mamafurfur came about? Can you share that with us?
Oh yeah, this is the question I get asked the most. So when I worked in a shop when I was 16, there was two Jennifers. So I grew up in the 80s when the name Jennifer was very common. There was Jennifer Rush and all those kind of people about. So there was me and another Jennifer, and so they used to call me Furfur because there was Jennifer and then there was Furfur. Yeah, because at the end. And then I have stepchildren as well as my own children. And Matt was thinking about a nickname they could call me, and it said Mamafurfur. So rather than Jennifer, Mama. And it just stuck, and I've been using it. It just makes me stand out and different. I don't know how many years it's going to last for, but I'm cool with it right now.
I'm so delighted to, and the last thing I wanted to say is that we're just really grateful for your presence here. And there's just something about your content that for me is so connectable. Hearing financial guidance from a woman's mouth just feels different to a man's mouth, and that's why you're the first female we've had here on the Dads podcast. So great, you've been absolutely outstanding for us. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
Enjoy your day and week. Thank you for the childcare that was put in place for us to get you today. That's
I
wonderful.
know. Thank you for having me. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Jennifer. See you soon then. Bye-bye.